Okay, good morning, students. The subject that I am going to teach you in this third semester is Engineering Materials, Metallurgy and Manufacturing 1. The subject code for this subject is ECME 16304. My name is Amandeep Singh Bhui and I am working as Associate Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in Amritsar Group of Colleges. Now, as this subject, the name of the subject is there, that is engineering materials, metallurgy, and manufacturing. So the term engineering materials is associated with those materials that we use in our daily life, uh, in the things or equipments that we use in our daily life. Those materials, like we use automobiles. So in an automobile, we are using different engineering materials like cast iron, steels, plastic, uh, composites, okay, cloths, various types of cloths are there. So all these things come into place if we want to design or make an automobile. Okay. If you look in your household equipments like your refrigerators, fans, air conditioners, uh, your automobiles, house is there. So everything that is being used to make these things is made up of engineering materials. So the study of engineering materials is very essential for any engineer. I will say for any engineer because this incorporates all types of engineers like mechanical engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers, electronics engineers, even computer engineers. So the knowledge of engineering materials is very essential to each and every branch because when you will go into the industrial environment, uh, on some day you might come up or come against a situation where you have to choose a material for a certain product. Okay, so the knowledge of these engineering materials is very essential. Okay, you have to choose the optimum material for that equipment that you are going to design. So optimum, I would say, is in terms of its corrosion resistance. You can say it does not corrode easily. Okay, so it is environment friendly, it is biodegradable, it is not costly, it is cheap. So there are a lot of materials, and what type of material you will be using, that you can only choose if you have a thorough knowledge of engineering materials and their metallurgy. Okay, what is the structure of that material, uh, how it behaves under different temperatures, how the structure changes. Okay, so that is metallurgy. And manufacturing comes is like you have to, because in industry you will get the material in certain forms, in the form of pellets or plates or sheets. Okay, so you have to manufacture that material according to your need. You have to do machining on that so that you can come up with the desired shape of the material. So in manufacturing, you not only subtract material, but you add material also, like by using welding process. In welding process, what we do is we add material. Okay. In machining process, what we do is we remove material from the base material. Okay. So if we move on to the next slide, uh, is why we need to study material science. Okay. Now, if we look into the human civilization and its evolution and the advancements that the human civilization has made in the past, say, century, so that is because of the development of new materials. We are continuously, what we are doing is we are continuously developing new materials. So at each and every stage of the human development, So the human, what it is doing is it is upgrading the materials. Beforehand, if you look at the older cars, they were having it has the body of the car was totally made up of metal. Okay, even the dashboard was metal. Okay. Then after a few years, what happens, the study came up and they came up with new types of composites. Now those composites, they have the same strength of the metal sheet, but what is the advantage is, the advantage was they were lighter materials. Okay. Now that what it does is, using those lighter and same strength materials, what we came up with, we actually reduced the weight of the automobile. Okay. Now reducing the weight of the automobile, what it does was it helped in say fuel economy. Okay. So we were able to increase the average of an automobile, okay, by reducing the weight of an automobile. Okay. So the human race is, what it does is it is pursuing for the upgradation of material. Okay. So when the material seemed to have given its best, finding the next generation of material has always been the biggest concern for scientists and engineers. Okay. So in at each stage, when you say that this is the best material for say my say if I'm using a say a mobile. Okay. So the mobile cover, it is made up of say it was made up of say metal sheet. Okay. So I would say that this is the best material. Now the scientists, what they do is, and engineers, they come up with a next type of material, that is a composite material. Okay. So that composite material is, what it does is it has the same strength as the metal sheet, but the advantages it had were it was lighter in weight, so the weight of the mobile it reduced. Okay. That we have to carry every day. Okay. Plus it is shock absorbent, that the plastic or the composite, it absorbs shock also. Okay. So the next material is ready for advancement. Okay. So following this never ending relentless pursuit of the best material, the world now has entered into the age of science and technology, where materials are now being handled at nano scale level, which has laid the ground for new possibilities of future. Now in the new era, the coming era or the going era, nanotechnology is coming into the picture. Now the materials, they are being modified, the surfaces of the materials are being modified by using different processes, uh, where we use the nanomaterials. So nanomaterials means, nano, if we say, is anything that is equal to or less than 10 raised to power minus 9. Okay. So that becomes nano. Okay. So if I am going for micro, micro is 10 raised to power minus 6. If I am going for nano, nano is 10 raised to power minus 9. Okay. So that becomes nanoscale. So such small scale, what we are doing, we are developing new materials that are nano in size, and using those materials, we can modify the surface of any base material, okay, so that the surface becomes corrosion resistance. Okay. And the life of that material, base material, increases by that. Okay. So the next is, if you look around you, you will discover that everything is built with some kind of material. This I have already given an example. If you look around into your house, if you look at your mobile, if you look at your computer, if you look at your say spectacles, if you look at your belt, clothes, okay, if you look at your cooler, AC, your house, your car, your scooter, motorcycle. So everything around you is made up of some kind of a material. Okay. So the study of this material science is very essential for any engineer. Okay. So this the properties Hence the properties give the material its value. तो जितना मटेरियल जो है उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज ज्यादा है, उसकी हार्डनेस ज्यादा है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन दी योर एप्लीकेशन. ओके, तो if I go for, instead of going for metal sheet, if I go for the composite, say carbon composite material sheet, तो because the properties have been enhanced, वो लाइट वेट है, more strength है, okay, it can be carved into any shape, so all these properties come into play, okay, and it is corrosion resistant. So what happens is with the advancement of the material, the value of the material also increases. So this carbon say fiber composite, it is costlier than the metal sheet, okay, but it has its advantages also. If you go further, so this is when materials and metallurgical engineers come to play. It is the job of the material scientist or the engineer to find the right material for any required property. तो जो मेरे को प्रॉपर्टी चाहिए, उस प्रॉपर्टी के मैच करता हुआ जो जो मेरे को रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं किसी भी मटेरियल की या किसी एप्लीकेशन की, ठीक है, तो मटेरियल इंजीनियर्स आर देयर इन एवरी इंडस्ट्री. So what they do is to fulfill all those input requirements of the industry. So these material engineers, they find the right material. So materials and metallurgical engineer is a highly creative and diversified field of engineering devoted to reveal the properties of materials by using principles of physical and natural sciences and make them suitable for a particular application by optimizing engineering and technological aspects. Okay, so material science engineer जो है, what he does is he devotes his whole life in finding the right material for the desired properties, okay, using the physical and natural sciences. तो नेचुरल साइंस क्या है? नेचुरल साइंस के अंदर वी गो इनटू द एटॉमिक लेवल, ठीक है, तो एटम है, एटम के अंदर तो व्हाट इज द say atomic structure of that material, how it behaves under different say weather conditions, and physical conditions are like how tough it is, okay, what is the strength, tensile strength of that material, what is the compressive strength of that material. So looking into all these properties, the materials or metallurgical engineer it finds the optimum material for any application. Okay, so lastly, it is up to the materials and metallurgical scientists to develop materials that are economic and environmental friendly. So now in the current era, we are going for environment friendly materials, the materials that are biodegradable. Okay, so plastic, it was a good era for plastic. We are dependent on plastic, but the only disadvantage of the plastic is that it is not biodegradable, that is, it is not environment friendly. Okay, so now the main question for the metallurgical scientists is that they have to develop a replacement for the plastic. Now the replacement for the plastic, and that replacement for the plastic should be biodegradable or environmental friendly. Okay, so that these are all the reasons why we should study the material science engineering, and why should we go for your expertise in material science engineering. Okay. Now the syllabus or the course, that is this EMMM1, when you will do, so what will be your say takeaway from this course, or what you will gain after studying this course. So first is you will be able to analyze the structure of any material at different levels. Okay, plus you will be able to know about the basic concepts of the crystalline materials, like their unit cells. You can see here, you will be able to know the structure of a FCC structure, that is face centered cubic structure. Then is your BCC is your body centered cubic structure. HCP is your hexagonal structure is there. Then is your what is atomic packaging factor, what is coordination number. So all these parameters that are related to the material structure, you will be able to learn about that. Then we will talk of the time, temperature, and transformation curves for different materials. How when if I go on increasing the temperature of a material up to the boiling point, okay, so how the transformation with respect to time and temperature is taking place inside a material. So there are triple T curves or graphs for different materials like cast iron, steel, magnesium, your aluminium. So different materials, they have different triple T curves. So we will study how the transformation is taking place inside a material. And then for the ferrous materials, or we will be studying about the iron carbon diagrams. FEC is your iron carbon diagram, and how the percentage of carbon inside the iron, it results in changes in the structure and material properties of iron. So if I add carbon to iron, so what I am doing is I am going into the steel curve. So when and the hardness of the iron, it increases as I increase carbon content in the iron. But to what extent I can say put carbon, what percentage of carbon I can put maximum. Okay. So beyond that, what happens is the iron becomes brittle. So next is you will be able to know about the classification and composition of the different alloys and effect of the alloying elements on the properties of the base layer. Okay. So इसमें we will be studying about if I add say silicon, molybdenum, or other elements in the alloying element, how they affect the properties of those elements. Next, you will be able to understand or know how of the various heat treatment processes. Okay. So heat treatment process for a material, उसमें annealing है, quenching है, normalizing है, then stress relieving is there. So all these heat treatment processes are conducted onto the materials at different stages of manufacturing in the manufacturing industry. And what are the advantages of using these heat treatment processes on the materials? Okay, and what say metallurgical changes or the structural changes that take place inside a material after we apply these heat treatment processes on those materials. Okay. Next, you will be able to know about the mechanical properties of various alloys over pure materials and their applications. Okay, so we will compare the mechanical properties of alloys. Okay. Alloys क्या होते हैं? Alloys are made up of say two or more say elements. Okay. So there is a base element, and in the base element, what we do is we increase the temperature, and when the base metal it melts, we add different materials in it to enhance its mechanical properties. Okay, so mechanical properties कौन-कौन सी हैं? Strength is there, then is your hardness is there, okay, toughness is there. So all these mechanical properties we can change. So when we will learn about the alloying elements, we will be able to learn about how different alloying elements they change the properties of the base element. Next is we will be able to understand the concepts of so this is forming process, in which we will learn about rolling. Rolling is where you transform any material into sheets. Okay. तो जैसे आपकी आपने अगर के पास गाड़ी है या बाइक है, ठीक है, या कूलर है आपके घर पे, ठीक है, तो ऑल दीज उसकी जो बॉडी है इट इज मेड अप ऑफ अ शीट, मेटल शीट, ठीक है ना. तो वो मेटल शीट एज इज नहीं आती है इन द मार्केट, ठीक है। तो इट इज मेड बाय दिस रोलिंग प्रोसेस, ठीक है। तो रोलर्स होते हैं, 2 रोलर्स, उनमें से मेटल जो है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पेलेट्स जो आता है, ठीक है। तो इट इज पास्ड व्हेन इट इज से उसको हीट करके रेड हॉट किया जाता है मेटल को, एंड देन इट इज पास थ्रू द रोलर्स, डिफरेंट साइज ऑफ रोलर्स, ठीक है। एंड द thickness of that billet it reduces, and at the end it is formed into sheets, okay. So that is from the rolling. Then forging, you already know, you have done hot and cold forging, you must have done it in the workshop practice, okay, where you beat the metal and you, with the help of hammers, and you change the shape of the material. uh, then is extrusion, drawing, and sheet metal forming, uh, and the use of all of them in the industrial applications. So this will be your one chapter. Then the last chapter is you will be able to know about the concepts of sintering in powder metallurgy, okay. तो पाउडर मेटलर्जी क्या है, हम दो मटेरियल्स का पाउडर लेके we mix it, and then that mixed material is heated up, and because of the heat, if when we reach the melting point, so the both the powders they mix with each other to form a hybrid material. So that is what is done in powder metallurgy. So you will be able to know about what is powder metallurgy at the end of this course. So these are all the course outcomes. Next is your syllabus. So first topic of the syllabus, first chapter will be your crystallography. So in the crystallography, you will be able to learn about the various, say, atomic structure, atomic bonding, the various crystal structures, that is your BCC, body-centered, face-centered, hexagonal closed packed, all these structures you will be able to understand, okay. The various effects and dislocations associated with the metal structure, okay. So diffusion mechanism, so steady and non-steady diffusion, factors affecting diffusion, theories of the plastic deformation, okay. So recovery and recrystallization. So we'll be able to learn all these things in first chapter. Second is your phase transformation, okay. So when we heat any metal, so as I increase the temperature, the metal phase starts to change. Okay, so it is in the solid state. If I heat it to the boiling point, it or the melting point, it becomes liquid state. So in between this, there is lot of transformations that take place inside a material. Okay, in terms of the atomic structure, and the lattice is there, crystal lattice. So all these things we will be learning about how this phase transformation takes place inside a material by studying the time, temperature, and transformation curves. That is the triple T curves. Okay. Next is your third chapter is your what is heat treatment. So in heat treatment, we will be studying about the various heat treatment processes. That is annealing, normalizing, hardening, tempering is there, surface hardening of steel. Okay. Then we will be able to study about what is carburizing, nitriding, and cyaniding. Hardenability क्या होती है, ठीक है. तो how to determine the hardenability of a material, what is end quenching Jomini apparatus defects due to heat treatment, and what are the remedies we can take into consideration during heat treatment. So this is your chapter number 3. Chapter number 4 are your ferrous metals and their alloys. Okay, so ferrous metals कौन से होते हैं? The one they which have iron in it. Okay, and their alloys. So we will be studying here about the different alloying elements like silicon, magnesium, nickel, chromium, molybdenum, tungsten, aluminium. If I add all these elements inside the iron, so how the structure and properties of the ferrous metals or steels they change. Okay, so this is your chapter number 4. Chapter number 5 is your metal forming, in which we form the metal into different shapes and sizes. Okay, उसमें rolling process is there, forging is there. So forging में hammer forging, press forging and drop forging is there. So we will be studying about rolling process, forging process, extrusion, drawing, your punching, okay, so press working. So all these processes we will be studying. What are the various applications, effects, what are the remedies? So all these things we will be studying in this chapter, chapter number 5, that is metal forming. Chapter number 6 will be your what is powder metallurgy. Yeah. So we will be studying about various advantages, limitations, and applications, and how powder metallurgy is used to produce the hybrid materials. In that, we will be studying about the briquetting and sintering process. Okay. So that is your 6 chapters are there in your syllabus for engineering materials, metallurgy, and manufacturing 1. So if we next is if we talk of what is the nature of this material science engineering. So this material science and engineering is actually a combination of your design, engineering design, chemistry comes in, physics comes in, crystallography comes in, bio and environmental sciences, they also add in, your chemical engineering comes in, architecture, product design comes in, and mechanical civil engineering. So all these branches, they combine together, okay, or some part of these branches, these combine together to form this domain of material science and engineering. So this means this material science and engineering is very vast. If we talk of the nature of material science and engineering, so different branches, they come together to form this material science and engineering branch. So hence study of this material science and engineering branch is very, very, very important for any, I would say, any engineer, particularly mechanical engineers. Okay. Next, evaluation, evaluation we have already discussed. This course will lie in your this Y zone. That is, it will have it is a core subject, plus it will have a little numerical base also. Okay, so this the category of this subject will be Y category. Okay, so again it will be divided into 4 equal parts. Okay, so then evaluation will be your again 2 MSTs will be there and 3 assignments. So part 1 and part 2 will have first test 24 marks, part 3 and part 4 we will have टेस्ट 2 24 मार्क्स. तो पहले 3 चैप्टर आपके आएंगे MST 1 में, और सेकंड जो बाद के 3 चैप्टर्स हैं वो आएंगे आपके MST 2 में. ओके, सो दैट विल बी योर MST. तो पार्ट 1 एंड पार्ट 2 जो पहले 3 चैप्टर्स हैं उनमें से आपको असाइनमेंट 1 मिलेगी. ठीक है, उससे नेक्स्ट जो चैप्टर रहेगा उसमें से आपको मिलेगा असाइनमेंट नंबर 3, और जो लास्ट 2 चैप्टर्स हैं उनमें से आपको मिलेगी असाइनमेंट नंबर 3. ओके, तो 3 असाइनमेंट्स आपकी रहेंगी A1, A2, A3. And the books that I would prefer that you should follow. First one is your by Sidney Evner. This is by Tata McGraw-Hill. This is Introduction to Physical Metallurgy is there. So and the second is V Raghavan, Physical Metallurgy. तो इन दोनों में से कोई भी आप बुक ले सकते हो. ठीक है, this will cover your first 4 chapters. जो ऊपर वाली 2 बुक्स हैं, these will cover the first 4 chapters. The second I would prefer go for PC Sharma, a textbook of production technology by S Chand and company. PC Sharma will cover your last 2 chapters, and it will also cover your syllabus from the 4th semester, that is engineering materials, metallurgy and manufacturing part 2. ठीक है, तो go for PC Sharma. ठीक है, तो इसमें से you can go for Evner और राघवन, ऊपर की दोनों में से कोई एक, और second I would prefer go for PC Sharma. Okay, so these are the books that I would prefer you should buy for this course. So these books will cover the syllabus for both your third and fourth semester for EMMM 1 and EMMM 2.